For more, we're joined from New York by our senior U.S. correspondent, Mike Waggenheim, and from Miami, Florida, Ron Klein, a former Democratic congressman and chairman of the Jewish Democratic Council of America. And Mike, turned out to be somewhat surprising midterms for a lot of people.
A lot of people, chief among them Donald Trump. His bat candidates largely failed across the country, and now he's looking at headwinds from what appears to be his number one rival in the Republican Party, Ron DeSantis, who not only romped his Democratic opponent there in the Florida governor's race, but lifted up the ticket statewide, made inroads in the congressional races, almost a clean sweep in some areas, got the Hispanic vote, and DeSantis now can go to the voters and say, listen, you got the same thing you got in me that you do with Trump, but without all the baggage. I can win a purple state running away. I can win as a culture warrior and not turn off Democrats. And DeSantis had the best night of anybody in America yesterday. But that was only within Florida. That's where that red wave, that apparent red wave, started and where it ended. Democrats holding the line throughout most of the rest of the country. The Senate still is in doubt in this moment, even though Fetterman was able to flip that Senate seat in Pennsylvania. There's still 3 races left to be decided. 2 of those need to go to Republicans for them to claim control of the Senate. It looks like the race in Georgia between incumbent Raphael Warnock and former football star Herschel Walker is going to head to a runoff. Mark Kelly, the Democratic incumbent in Arizona, is leading his opponent Blake Masters by a couple of percentage points, but still too close to call. And in Nevada, Adam Laxalt leading his opponent there by a few percentage points as well.
Ron, other than Florida where you are, the Democrats held the line. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think that there was a lot of expectations created that the economy and jobs and gas prices was just going to win the day. And American voters are a lot more complex than that, just like any voter anywhere in the world, like Israelis as well, where there are a lot of things that either they care about or trouble them. For example, Democrats and some independents obviously felt very strongly about the Supreme Court making decisions about abortion and guns, and a lot of them felt very threatened by, particularly the Jewish community, by the insurrection that took place on January 6th. So I think there were a lot of complex factors in different places. I would also say in the Senate in particular, it's many times decided by personalities and qualifications of individual candidates. It's not as simple as saying, well, this is Democrat or this is Republican. States that are way Republican, way Democrat, for sure. But the ones that are competitive, a good quality candidate is worth 2 or 3 extra points, and a bad quality candidate can really lose a race as well.
Right. Now, as chairman of the Jewish Democratic Council, Ron, I want to get just your reaction to 2 races, especially supporters of Israel looked at. Elaine Luria, failing re-election, and Summer Lee there in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, who was the only candidate that AIPAC sort of openly opposed yesterday. Some say she's going to be a member of the squad getting into the House. Your response to those races?
Yeah, well, first of all, my organization, I'm a former member of Congress, but my organization itself supports Democrats who support the Jewish community's values and interests, starting with support of Israel, but then there's a whole lot of other things as Americans, we as Jews care about, tikkun olam kinds of issues that we really care about. I think that Elaine Luria, who was a good friend and a former Navy leader, lost in a very difficult race because that district was really a Republican district in the first place. So I think that was probably why she lost, not because she didn't do a good job. And she was a good supporter of Israel. And hopefully the Republican will be as well. And as far as Summer Lee goes, again, she's one member. The squad is 4 or 5 people. They do not have any kind of real influence over Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Steny Hoyer or leaders of the party. And so, again, from my point of view, it's not my preferred candidate. But I think what we really have to focus on is the fact that the Democrats that are elected are great supporters of Israel. And again, we don't want to make Israel a partisan issue. Big mistake.
All right, Mike, briefly, a race you follow closely in New York, Lee Zeldin did get a little more of the Jewish vote than Republicans usually get there, but Kathy Hochul in the end pulled it through.
Yeah, Zeldin was up against it to begin with. Keep in mind, Hochul had a double-digit lead in the polls just, a few weeks ago. Zeldin was able to make inroads on the issues of crime and specifically with the Jewish community on the issues of the toughening standards on yeshivas, Jewish seminaries here in New York State, which the Haredi community has been pushing back on. It was too much to overcome in the end for Zeldin, one of only two Jewish Congress people on the Republican side of things. But very interesting as you look at the data there, Calev, across New York State. Nearly every county that has reported their data so far from this election cycle has shown that the state is veering to the right in nearly every single county. Right. Something to watch for going into 2024. It's not automatically a Democratic state anymore.
All right, but in the meantime, the Democrats hold the line. Ron Klein and Mike Waggenheim there in New York. Thank you for joining us on the Rundown.